This story begins about a half century ago in New Orleans, Louisiana, aboard the Mississippi Queen and the Delta Queen, where a kid from Illinois decided to build a raft and take it down the Mississippi River. Ian and I built the raft in Minneapolis, floated for 6 months on the river, and we ended up in New Orleans, Louisiana. A couple of hungry, broke rafters looking for work. In New Orleans, I met a broke, hungry German by the name of Peter Holman, who was looking for work at a place called Woodhouse Row. This time that Peter and I spent in New Orleans working at Woodhouse Row was an amazing time of life. We made so much money, and we had more fun than the law allows, literally. 1984 was an amazing year. By 1985, Woodhouse Row had come to an end. Peter and I had begun exploring different directions, but the friendship had been cemented. And in the years to follow, we would gather to cause trouble in remote locations all around the planet. Peter and I got together in Ohio, where we jumped out of an airplane doing mushrooms and wearing parachutes. They told us the parachutes would open. Later, we got together in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, to do some hang gliding. And we were living out of a trailer pulled behind my Mercedes at the time that we just parked in some stranger's driveway. These were good days. Before Peter's marriage to Bettina, the lovely Bettina, there was a road trip. A bachelor party road trip. Far and wide, involving a lot of alcohol, just so much alcohol, in an area which had never seen people like us. This was after the Berlin Wall had fallen, and the places we went were very surprised to see us. Before we knew it, 40 years had passed. It's 2023. Peter's in Vegas for a convention. It's time to meet in Austin, Texas. South by Southwest is just wrapping up there. Austin is jumping, and Peter and I will resume our competitive drinking. It's St. Patrick's Day in Austin, where I've been drinking at Mr. Tramp's for about 7 hours when Peter finally arrives in a nice white truck, and we find some margaritas about midnight to begin our drinking. The live music scene was exceptional. So many choices, and of course, so many new friends to be made everywhere we went. After a couple of days of exploring Austin, we had been partying around the clock and decided, yeah, we could just take an afternoon nap. But then the Saxon pub came along, and Joe, the owner, was so hospitable, and before you knew it, they brought us a check. And there were 33 Guinnesses on the check. And of course, it began a conversation about who had had one more Guinness than the other. And as we can clearly see here, it wasn't just Guinness that we drank at the Saxon pub. A Cajun breakfast, a couple of pints, and we're headed for Louisiana, where there was a slight altercation involving some law enforcement and a accommodation that wasn't up to our standards, but that didn't dampen our enthusiasm, and the party continued. After the debacle in Shreveport, it was on to Baton Rouge in the official drink and drive Dodge with many, many stops for urination. Thank you, Peter. In Baton Rouge, we headed directly to Happy's Irish Pub, where national news had reported that the murdered man was last seen. Now, his body had been found wrapped in a carpet and plastic, but police suspected no foul play. Needless to say, this sounded exactly like our kind of pub. After 40 years, we've done it. We're back in New Orleans. God help us both. we explored some of the old haunts, found a few new ones, and spent very little time in our extremely luxurious Airbnb, sadly. And then we found Blaine Kern's Mardi Gras World, which neither of us had ever seen before and was well worth the visit. Naturally, all of that Mardi Gras memorabilia made us very, very thirsty. Timing is everything, and as luck would have it, Sweet Lorraine's was featuring Michael Ward and his son, Sean. Michael's a renowned jazz violinist. His son began playing at the age of 3, and in one of the rare times the two of them performed together, Peter and I were there. Michael and Sean were spectacular, and following that highbrow, we went decidedly lowbrow into the hood to see what kind of trouble we could find. All good things must eventually end before we kill ourselves. It's time to return our shattered selves to the wives and beg their forgiveness for all of our misdeeds, resume our lives as upstanding members of the community. Peter impersonates this so beautifully. Not me so much. Try to be more like me, Peter. I love you, buddy.